Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, and iHeartRadio Best Kids and Family Podcast Award nominee. We are so delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is the founder of Sugar Cookie Books Publishing Company. She's the author of Andrew Learns About Teachers and Andrew Learns About Actors. She's coming to us from Sugar Land in Texas. Please welcome to the show, Tiffany Obeng. Hey, Tiffany, how are you?
I'm good. I am great. It is 6 o'clock here. I have my newborn crying, but she's with my mom and my 5-year-old running around. So we're good.
Awesome. So you are the owner and publisher of Sugar Cookie Books, and you're also the author of the 2 books we introduced.
That is correct. Doing it all.
And you're doing it with a newborn baby and a 5-year-old.
Yes.
Some people would say, what's wrong with you? What, you didn't have enough to do?
Well, you know, the 5-year-old actually inspired the books themselves. His name is Andrew, and the books are named after him, and it's about his curiosity and just how to explain certain things to him. So that happened during last year in the pandemic. But the second one, the teacher's one, did come out while I was pregnant, and I released it actually 4 days before I gave birth to my younger child.
You know, it's not like you're really busy when you're delivering a kid, right? You know, squeeze in publishing a book. Hey, why not?
Why not?
Well, this is really exciting. I just have to, I can't resist being in the arts myself and being a performer. When Andrew learns about being actors, does he find out that most actors are waiters?
No. I did not include that in the book.
Okay. I couldn't resist. That
is funny.
So tell us about the book.
So Andrew Learns About Actors is the debut of the Sugar Cookie Books publishing company. So actually, Andrew Learns About Actors and Teachers is a part of Andrew's Career Day book series. Okay. So Andrew Learns About Actors was a fun writing project. That's why I was able to come out with it first. Me and my son love TV. We love engaging with the TV. Like, I talk to the screen. He runs around with the TV set. You would think they're friends, right? So it came to my mind, like, does he really think that the people he's seeing on TV are, like, real? Like, do he think that he can actually meet these people out, or does he know or understand that they're characters that people play? And so when that thought came to mind, I said, well, how would you explain that to he was 4 at the time. How would you explain that to a 4-year-old? And that was birth. Andrew Learns About Actors. And so it's the first children's picture book about being or becoming an actor. And it just takes you on a quick little tale of, this is what actors do. So they're like perform on TV and stage, on movies. Sometimes they have to sacrifice. So sometimes they spend time away from family, traveling, being on set. But overall, sometimes they get notoriety and it's fun. It takes a lot of practice or rehearsing. Sometimes you're going to work with other people. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of skills and an introduction to what to expect if you were or your child was interested into becoming an actor. So that's how that book came about, and that's what that book is about. And so it was fun to write.
Now, I'm really excited that you wrote this book, not so much to give kids a peek at, gee, maybe I can be an actor, and if I'm going to be an actor, these are the things that I need to think about. That's important. And one of the things your kid needs to think about if they're looking to get into acting, and one of the things you need to think about, stage mom and stage dad, is sometimes it doesn't matter how talented your kid is. If the production is looking for a kid with red hair and purple eyes, and your kid doesn't have red hair and purple eyes, you're probably not going to get the gig. Yeah. So a lot of times it has nothing to do with talent. It's all about looks and what people are looking for. But the thing that I'm really excited about is that a huge issue for me is media literacy and how important it is for us as parents to help our kids become media literate, to help them understand that every one of the thousands of media messages that they're exposed to every single day, and this includes television, music, the billboards that they see on their way to school, the little pop-ups that come up when they're playing games. Every one of those was created by a person who wanted you to either buy something, think some way, or do something. Yeah. And I think that that's something that we don't do enough of in schools. It's something that we don't think about as parents. And I love that you've created a book that can really help parents start that lesson, because it's something we need to be teaching our kids throughout their entire lives.
Yes, and I hope to, as it continues, I hope to also explore, in addition to actors, other areas of entertainment that we may not see, such as production design. I didn't know about production design until I started watching the Academy Awards, and my cousin actually did production designs for some TV shows, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know they existed. Or cinematography, just the lesser-known jobs or professions that's within the entertainment industry.
Yeah. And that's another great lesson. A lot of time because I present educational magic shows and have been doing that across the country for 30 years, I oftentimes meet kids who want to be an actor, that want to get into stage or show business or dance or music. And they have this idea that unless they are the star, unless they reach that ultimate plateau that very few people reach, that they're a failure and that they can't make their dream come true of being in acting or being in music. They can't make that dream come true. And the reality is, as you just said, you look at a movie, you know, go through the credits at the end of the movie.
Yes.
It can take 5 minutes. There are hundreds of people involved in the creation of a movie.
Costume design, editing, music editing, it's script writing. Like I'll probably get into that one too, because I was actually interested in doing adaptive screenplays before I published the book. And so it's all these things or all these professions that go into making a production that I'm not gonna say no one, but a lot of people are not aware of. Like I wasn't aware of it until I was out of college. For instance. Maybe my career path would have taken a different turn. I doubt it, but I'm a lawyer by trade. So maybe I would have gone into learning how to write screenplays if I'd known about that profession. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm hoping that.
Or maybe when you were studying law, you might have decided, I'm going to go into entertainment law or music law, because that's a whole other specialty of law.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like I said, this is really exciting for me, because I do think that a huge amount of our economy today revolves around the arts. And certainly if it weren't for the arts, the pandemic would have been a lot harder if we weren't streaming podcasts and Netflix and Amazon and cable and all those other things. Hopefully people were reading books as well. But even books are, writing in books, that's all part of the entertainment industry. And I love helping kids understand that it's not just the person with the name on the marquee. There's a team of people behind that person.
That's correct.
Yeah. Wow. What was your son like when he learned all of these things and he saw how complex it was?
So based on reviews, I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but based on reviews, I could do a good job in keeping in mind the target audience, which is 2 to 7 year olds. So you're going to have simple and complex words and terms. But I want to make it relatable to a child who is 2 to 7, but mainly like preschool, kindergarten age. So back to him, he was 4 and he enjoyed listening to it. He enjoyed reading it because he's at the age where he can read the words in the book for the most part, except for some of the complex ones maybe. He may ask a couple of questions about like what is rehearsed, like what exactly does that mean? But I wanted to make sure I had text that not only explained it, introduced the profession, but also it's rhymes. So as we know, rhymes help kids once they engage. They think it's fun, and it just teaches them literacy, like how to read, how do letters and words sound. So that's what he kind of learned from it. And at the end, we have like a literacy lesson. So it like goes back over like, what did you like about acting? What did you dislike about acting? Andrew's favorite TV character is Ryan B. I just made up that character, but his character name was Ryan B. So it's like, and he wanted to play games with them. What is your favorite, or who is your favorite TV character? And why and things like that. So we went through that at the end, and he was able to answer those questions, which showed me that he was listening, he was comprehending what was being taught to him, and things like that. And then at the end it says, do you want to be an actor? And so, of course, he was like, yeah. So he enjoyed reading about it. He enjoyed learning about it from what I could tell, and he understood what I was trying to educate him.
Awesome. Now, the second book in the series is Andrew Learns About Teachers.
Yes.
And teachers have to do a lot of things that actors do when you get down to it.
Yeah, so the second one, Teachers, came about because as I have in my dedication, as I say on everything I talk about, my mom is a teacher, or she just retired, so she was a teacher. My husband's a teacher. My cousins and aunts are teachers. So I just have so many teachers that's in my immediate family. But I also, as I said, I'm an attorney, so I had a lot of teachers throughout my years of school. And so with the pandemic coming about and they having to change like the way they were teaching our kids, I just kind of wanted to put something out. It was like a passion project. So I like to say Andrew Learns About Actors was a fun writing project. The Andrew Learns About Teachers is a passionate writing project. I wanted to put out something that told kids about teachers and how important they are to us and how they impact our lives. And also, hopefully, if an adult actually is reading it, maybe they have some nostalgia back to when they were being taught and like what they thought about their teachers. And if a teacher is reading it, maybe they could say, thank you for seeing me, because we really do work hard. So that's the second one.
Yeah. Tell me, what is, as you were writing Andrew Learns About Teachers, and you're surrounded by teachers, and I imagine you had to do a deep dive, maybe talk to some of the teachers. What was the one thing about teaching that you learned as a result of writing this book?
Oh, that's a good question. I never had that before. I think what I learned, because I did do a little poll like, hey guys, help me write this book or write some parts of the book or whatever, because I got had a writer's block. And I was like, what else can I say about teachers? And so what I learned when I did that was just how impactful teachers are. Like, I said, what makes a good teacher, for example? And then people would give me their experiences with teachers. And what I gathered from their experiences is teachers who are really great at what they do, they have a lasting impression on you throughout your whole lives. They go so far, and they not only teach you things that you need to know for your life, but they also are a big factor in encouraging you. If you run into a great teacher, then you'll probably continue on in the process of schooling, and you'll remember them, and you'll always think of them and want to honor them, perhaps. So that's one thing I learned when just speaking to people, like, what makes teachers, what do you think about when you think about your favorite teacher? And they were like, oh, I remember how XYZ, and it's just like that memory that they had and how they felt encouraged by that teacher, and how even to this day, 30 years later, perhaps, they were still thinking about their teacher, that one teacher or a couple of teachers.
Yeah, I still have memories of my fifth grade teacher, Mrs. Beatty. And now this is almost 100 years ago. So yes, they're teachers that can leave that lasting impression on you and make a huge difference. Oh, wow. So as Andrew was reading, or having you read, Andrew Learns About Teachers with him, did that make him excited about school and about who he was going to meet when he went to school?
So he's already excited about school. He loves learning. So playtime, like recess, unstructured play is kind of where he gets in trouble, loses focus. But structured learning.
Don't we all?
But because his dad is a teacher, he did enjoy learning, and his grandma is a teacher. He did enjoy learning about what they do and how important they are. And then again, we have a literacy lesson that's included. So it's like, who is your teacher? What is your favorite subject? What do you like about your teacher? What do you like about school? And things like that. So he was able to apply what we had just read to that lesson and just kind of instill or emphasize what we had just read. And then, of course, do you want to be a teacher? And then, of course, he says yes. So he wants to be an actor and a teacher.
Well, and that's really healthy for kids to want to do a bunch of different things.
Right.
Yeah. As we're talking here, and I reflected back on Mrs. Beatty, my fifth grade teacher, and I think about some other teachers that I had that weren't great, but Mrs. Beatty was a really great teacher. I'm thinking it would be really great as families are reading Andrew Learns About Teachers together for a parent to just kind of say, hey, when I was in third grade, when I was in fifth grade, whatever, and share those wonderful memories about the great teachers, and maybe talk about some of the not so great teachers they had and how they kind of dealt with that.
And that's how the illustration, one of the illustrations in the book kind of has it like that. They have an older male figure sitting on a bench with a younger kid, and the older male figure is reminiscing to when he was younger and had a great teacher. And what I thought was interesting about that part, the illustration of it, but what I thought was interesting about the text that I wrote, obviously, but that I wrote is that I said now, comma, not all teachers are the best, but when you have the best, you remember them forever when you're very many ages old or something like that. And so people really caught that now part, and it either makes them laugh or it makes them say, yep, that's right. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't trying to say there's bad teachers. I wasn't trying to say that at all. I was trying to make a difference between good and great or whatever. So just to see that illustration kind of complements it with an older person telling the younger child, yeah, you remember the teacher. I remember.
Yep.
He's saying these words, but that's what you see illustrated in the book.
And I think it's really healthy for us to talk to our kids about the fact that teachers are human beings and they have good days and bad days, and sometimes, it's personalities. There were many teachers. My son and daughter went to the same school. There were many teachers that my son kind of clashed with that my daughter loved, and teachers that my son loved and my daughter wasn't all that crazy about, and it kind of surprised me. And I think that that's something that our kids can understand. It's we don't necessarily get along with everyone. We are going to like different people, and that's okay as long as we remember to respect and treat everybody with kindness and respect and love.
That's right.
One of the things that you wanted to talk about is how you define success as an author. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
So, as an author, especially a self-published author, there's stigma around it, one. And then it's just a lot of hard work trying to get your work out there. So I'm glad you have a podcast like this to try to introduce our works to the masses or a broader audience. So a lot of marketing goes into it. And as an author, self-published or otherwise, you're comparing yourselves to maybe the traditionally published authors or other self-published authors. And you may think to yourself, wow, I see, social media-wise at least, oh, I see they sold, this many books, or I see that they have this Kickstarter going, or I see that they're doing this and this and this. And so you might become discouraged. But what I learned in my process, that started before I became an author, actually, I realized, but what I learned in my process is that you define what success is for you. So by defining your own success, or how you define your own success, is defining your why. So why did you embark on this journey in the first place? And for me, I started writing Andrew's Career Day book series because, one, representation of it, but two, my son, it was something me and my son could have together. He doesn't write on it. I like to say he's a consultant, but he doesn't write on it. But he can see my name in print, he can see his name in print, and it'll live on forever. And it's something that we can both enjoy. I also did it because I wanted whoever did come across it and read it, I wanted them to enjoy these books and say, you know what, this is a really good product you put out. I wanted them to like the illustrations. I wanted them to say, now my child understands about what it is to be an actor, or understands a little bit more about teachers. The next one is going to be lawyers, which is a very difficult writing process. But now, just introducing me to these different things, I would like for my books at some point to keep expanding and kind of become the Britannica of Career Day for children. So if you want to know about whatever profession it is, you just grab a book from Andrew's Career Day and say, hey, this book will introduce you in a way that you can understand and in a way that's engaging and fun. So far, other than the Britannica thing, I've been able to check the list on, I want to put out a good product, a product that people enjoy, a product that me and my son can have forever, and I'm successful. You know what I'm saying? So everything else that comes is like cherry on top.
Yeah. I think I'm hoping the parents who listen to this will share some of that with their kids, because it really is important for us to define success in our lives and so that we set up boundaries and we help our kids set up boundaries so that they're not in a position where, oh, I have this ogre as a boss and I need to compromise on my values. I need to take time away from my family because other people are judging me. You have the power to define what is important to you. And that's what we need to do as parents, to help our kids understand that our values, our family values, are what we want you to carry forward, and not necessarily let your values be defined by media or by the crowd.
Exactly, because so often we define our success by either notoriety, how much, or money. Those are like the top two in my head, at least. And so it's like, if you don't have the notoriety, if you don't have the money, then you're unsuccessful. But that's not true. Like, there's so many other ways to be successful. And so, like you said, I just think knowing what like I said, and like you're saying, knowing what we're doing something for, knowing our values, you can always be successful.
Yeah.
There's not just one way to be successful.
And I'm excited, too, that you're creating a series of books that shows kids that they can do lots of different things, that they're not, they're not limited in terms of what their future holds for them. If they aspire to be a lawyer, they can make that happen. And, maybe they're not going to make it to the Supreme Court, but and maybe they won't make it to lawyer, but maybe they'll be a paralegal or, work in a law office or, whatever. There's lots of ways if there's something that excites you. I have my amazing niece, when I was talking to her when she was in 8th grade, I said to her, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, I'm going to be a doctor, a detective, and an engineer.
Sounds like me.
And I said, you can do that. And, let's see. And now she is finishing high school, and she has kind of settled in on bioengineering, and she's going to make that happen.
Engineering, the 4th book in the series.
Excellent.
But, Andrew's career day, that's exactly right. You're right, because I remember being in school, and we would have career day, and you might have a couple of people come in. But I remember my experience of career day was seeing police officers and firefighters. Maybe, I don't really remember lawyers, but you only get like that 2 to 3 different type of profession. And so it's like, if career day is still going on, which I'm not sure they even still have that in school, how are you going to introduce them to a variety of professions? Why is it that we have to wait until we graduate college, like myself or something, to find out, oh, this is something I could have been interested in? And so just putting together something that, one, can promote literacy, 2, can get parent and child together to talk about these things, and 3, just say, oh, well, these are some things I might be interested in. This book says this and this and this, and I have these type of skills, or these skills, or what she's saying here interests me, so maybe I can look further into that. Just jumpstarting that conversation and saying there's so many possibilities out there, not just the 2 or 3 professions that's always given to you. I know in certain homes, doctor and lawyer are promoted all the time. Before you even know how to spell doctor or lawyer, they're like, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, because that's success, right? So just saying, if you're not going to be a doctor, if you're not going to be a lawyer, these are all the other things you can be. Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier and really appreciated earlier, a lot of times we don't think about creative professions as a profession to encourage our kids to pursue. And so actors, and that's a real profession, and creative professions are just as important as non-creative professions, if you will. And so I will explore more about dancers. I will explore more about whatever artists, later on. I mean, it's just me. I would like one day to be a Dr. Seuss where he has other people writing under him, but at this moment, it's just me. But yeah, so I just think it's important to balance, and I just think it's very important to give our kids a chance from the beginning. And, studies show that the earlier kids are introduced to professions, the more likely they are going to stay in school, because they're going to assess like their skills, they're going to take accountability, they're just going to be encouraged. And so if I can have a hand in doing that, keeping kids in school, I mean, success. We're back at it.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out, because there are lots of studies that show that kids who have dreams, kids who have goals, are more likely to stay in school. They're happier. They're more successful. when I read that study, I took it upon myself to do a very unscientific research project. And I went into, for like a month or so, I would just poll my audience, 400 or 500 kids at a time watching my show. And I would say, how many of you guys know what you want to be when you grow up? How many of you guys think, when I grow up, I want to be this, I want to be, just raise your hand. And I was really shocked that never more than half the kids raised their hand.
Yeah.
And, talking to teachers, like, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing kids with a lot of goals these days. And this is the time to help kids start setting those goals when they're young, when they're reading these picture books on our laps and listening to us and hearing us. We are the most important people in their lives, telling them that they can do anything in the world that they want to do, and we'll back them up and support them.
That's exactly right. And I would like to say that the lawyers one, like I said, is difficult. I don't know if it's because it's my profession. I don't know if it's because it's a complex profession. And like I said, I'm trying to break it down for ages 2 to 7, and I got to rhyme. So, but I had a couple of beta readers, one of them being my husband. And he was like, he read like my first draft or one of my drafts. I was like, I think I'm done. And so he read it, and he was like, now what do lawyers do? I still don't get it. So just trying to put lawyers in a way that, one, like I keep saying, is relatable and digestible. But my point of bringing up lawyers was that when I was growing up, the only lawyers I saw was criminal lawyers, because those are the ones on TV, and those are the ones on TV because they're more entertaining. No one wants to see mergers and acquisitions attorneys like pushing paperwork back and forth. Who wants to see that? So you always see the criminals. So I want to, in my lawyer's book, say this is not the only type of lawyer you can be. And in doing that, maybe a kid or whoever, or even a parent who's reading the book say, oh, I didn't even realize that, lawyers run the gamut. All lawyers, one, don't know the same thing. They specialize in areas. You have general practitioners, but a lot of them specialize in areas. So like just talking to parents about that, like if your kid have these skills, maybe you can encourage them instead of being a criminal lawyer. When you say I'm a lawyer and they say, what's that? And you say the person on TV, that person acting on TV as a lawyer, you can say, well, they're a business lawyer. There's real estate lawyers. There's entertainment lawyers. Like there's so many different lawyers that's out there. And so I'm just trying to find a way to make sure I'm introducing it and giving the profession justice, but also covering so the parents could also understand as much as the child.
Well, I'm really excited. This is I think is a fantastic idea, and I wish you great luck as the new books are coming out. Where can people go to find out more about the Andrew Learns About Career series and Sugar Cookie Books?
So the website is sugarcookiebooks.com. You can also follow me on IG and Facebook at Sugar Cookie Books. And the books are also available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com, Target.com, BooksAMillion.com, House.com. I think I covered it.
Awesome. Well, we've had a great time speaking to the president of Sugar Cookie Books and the author of Andrew Learns About Teachers and Andrew Learns About Actors. And maybe someday Andrew learns about lawyers, and maybe he's going to learn about magicians. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe. Yes.
Our guest has been Tiffany Obeng. Tiffany, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Diane Deonda. She'll be here to celebrate 21 cousins. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Tiffany Obeng. Be sure to check out Andrew Learns About Actors and Andrew Learns About Teachers. Also want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.